Sal, we got some crazy stuff going down in New York City with the NYPD soccer mom. I don't know. I saw Jeffrey Madry's getting raided. Other NYPD executives are getting raided. I thought that was a good thing. But no, this is complicated. We need you and your insights to disambiguate this in the way that only you can. How are you today, Sal?
It's a lot of craziness, and it's always. I like to say to people don't realize every time we're about to come on, there's always something that happens. Whether it's today there was some problem with a delay. Last week there was a problem with delay. Another time it doesn't fire up when we're supposed to go live. It's like always something. I don't know why, but this thing that happened this week. It came out of nowhere. Just so people know, this stuff has been going on for quite a while. We've heard about there's going to be raids and two years ago, and nothing has actually happened until now. They're saying that this is a completely separate issue than the one that we've all been told about, and we have other executives, and they're not retired, or some work in the Trump administration, or some are getting drunk at a bar as we speak. And these
But
people
wait.
did not get a
Let's back
knock
up
on
a
their door.
second because a lot of people don't know exactly who we're talking about, what we're talking about. Just give us a quick recap, if you would, and also people who are outside New York maybe didn't get this news exactly, but we want to just make sure everybody understands what's going on and what's at stake, and then what's really happening.
So what we have here is the NYPD 2 years ago was embroiled in a corrupt scandal. And the corruption that was going on was happening under Eric L. Adams as the mayor. We all know out of everyone that had all these issues, the only person that had gotten indicted up until then was Eric Adams, right? You saw them, they
Yeah.
went to Jeffrey Madry's home. He was the chief of department. He ended up leaving in the disgrace. They went to Eddie Caban's home. He was the former police commissioner, who we all know his brother, and this mob associate guy, friend of theirs. He was hanging out at the restaurant Con Sofrito, where there's all kinds of allegations, right? Then there's other chiefs. James McCarthy, who's the assistant chief, he's a two-star chief, and now he put in his paperwork to leave. He was also at the time, he had his phone taken. Numerous people had their phone taken. But 2 years go by and you don't hear or see anything. And what I go back to is when President Trump had Emo Bove and Todd Blanche and Boris Epstein, the real Epstein people should look at, not the one that's long gone. And Artie Idala and Steve Bannon and Ghislaine Maxwell, all these people, all of that led to Eric Adams got off on his court case. He should have gone to trial, and everyone resigned. That was the beginning of the end, we thought, of everything else, because it's like a domino effect, right? All the dominoes are on the top part, and then they spread down. So Eric Adams, if he's involved in those other things, why did you kill this whole case? Because they were building on it. So we didn't hear anything for 2 years. Now, out of nowhere, you hear that internal affairs, just remember that word, internal affairs, who I've been all over. Ed Thompson's the chief of internal affairs, leading this referral to the Southern District of New York and the FBI to go and do what they did on Wednesday, which is they raided once again the home of Jeffrey Madry, the Deputy Commissioner of Public Information, and now retired former Deputy Commissioner of Public Information, Tariq Shepard, and Assistant Chief, who now is putting in for his papers to retire, James McCarthy, along with his driver, who's a lieutenant. I believe his name is Stephen Lee. Now, what's interesting is this is in regards to their saying pay-for-play promotions. That's the word I got. When it comes to the pay-for-play promotions, there were people that were for a long time getting called into One Hogan Place, which is in Manhattan, and they were interviewing detectives. They were unmarks and police or detectives going in and out of there. And we came to find
What
out
is
why they were
One
in and out
Hogan
of there.
Place?
One Hogan
Is
Place
that
is
where the
technically,
DA is?
yes, but that's not what they were there for. It was disguised as that. And they had a federal prosecutor there, and they were they're throwing a proffer or whatever it is, talking to these detectives
What is a
about
federal
the promotions.
prosecutor doing at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office? Doesn't that
If you
sound a little
if you bring the
weird?
cars, if you start seeing detectives going down to Federal Plaza there or any federal office, they're going to begin to assume that all right, it has to do with that. They don't want anyone to know about it, but we came to pick this up because, of course, I got sources everywhere. You saw a bunch of them, like 15 detectives in a day would come. And the questions and what this is in regards to allegedly is pay for play promotions, which were what? Many people that were detectives were third grade, second grade, first grade. How did they get from third to first when they're not making any arrests? They're not really doing much. Well, there was the allegations of these booster bags. If you're going back to this, though, Jason, this was 2 years ago. Why are you now, 2 years later, all of a sudden in a rush to go after Madry 2 years later for stuff that you already knew about when you already took his phones 2 years ago? And he's listen, he's involved in other things, right? We all know about
What's
what
a
happened
booster
with
bag?
Epps. A booster bag, essentially, I'm giving you one of these, and in this, there's cash. And these allegations were everywhere. I mean, one of
Lay's
the
potato chips.
yeah, the potato chips in the bag. One of the main allegations is that booster bags they were also being given and received at Con Sofrito, right? And so you're looking at this saying three executives, yet we have numerous other executives, all kinds of allegations. How is this not looking like it's just another witch hunt? The soccer mom's on the fire, Jason. You know why she's on the fire? She's let so much happen underneath her. And now, with the uncovering that I've discovered that there is misuse of overtime codes. They're not paying police officers for overtime that they did because they're trying to get around the budget. Because I don't know if you know this, Jason, the calendar year for the city is June 30th to July 1st of the next year. So after June 30th, you start a whole new fiscal year. So if you have overtime right now that you're going to get paid for, they've been withholding this trying to get to July 1st, even if they owe you from a month ago. There's all kinds of games that they're playing. And the number one game I caught on to was you saw all the police officers and everyone in Times Square. You got Dave Pajoli there running that operation, probably saying that every felony is now a violation or it never happened. So you have those cops out there and they're doing overtime. The overtime is federally funded, FIFA. What they're doing is they're saying to cops in the subways and doing what's called all out in the Bronx and Staten Island and Brooklyn. That has nothing to do with FIFA. FIFA is in Manhattan. They're putting down the overtime codes for FIFA, meaning that money that's being allocated from the government, you're now saying, I'm going to pay the police officers in Brooklyn that have nothing to do with this. And I just stressed to you and the audience, it's not the police officers that do the codes. This is coming from the payroll section, which is ordered by operations. Operations gets there. We'll say their marching orders from who? First Deputy Commissioner Tanya Kinsella. She's in charge of overtime. She's in charge of central booking. Her minions are now running around. One of them might be taking over Staten Island. This Amir Yakatali, who's the highest ranking Muslim in the NYPD, he's rumored to be taking over Staten Island. That's a crony of hers. This woman is running rampant. And by the way, she's the sole survivor of the Dream Team. If you remember the whole crew that we're talking about that getting raided, she is the last surviving member that's still currently a high-ranking executive in this administration. She's the number two person as the first deputy commissioner, in charge of discipline as well. Yet you don't hear a peep. So out of nowhere, you now hear this internal affairs and they're going to do raids and all this stuff. To me, Jason, this seems like a distraction more than anything else because until we see anyone leaving in handcuffs. And by the way, Tariq Shepard's business partner is a former disgraced chief that you've had a problem with that's limping around the city, apparently. And his house wasn't raided. They're business partners, literally business partners. You don't. So we're to believe that all of these people that know each other, only two of them are going to get raided, and everyone else don't bother, don't even look at it. Because remember, they're telling you this is a whole nother investigation by internal affairs. So we're supposed to forget for the last 2 years, they had everyone's phones and they raided all these people. And then Trump got involved and messed up the whole Eric Adams case. So now he's a Mar-a-Lago guy and he's buying a place in Albania because he's got a citizenship so that when the time comes, because the second part was for Frank Carone indictment. What did we hear in the Frank Carone indictment? There's a lot of things. Migrant shelters. It was bad what you heard in the allegations, right? Artie Aidala, his attorney, who, again, his name comes up because he's in the whole circle. And he was saying this case is political. He said Biden, Justice Department, wanted Frank Carone. And we know these career prosecutors. So these guys have worked in the Eastern District of New York before Trump, before Biden. They've worked for the DOJ. They don't work for the president. But he's telling you this. The Biden Justice Department was after Carone, and they found their guy, and it's because Eric Adams was pardoned by Trump, which is false. He did not get pardoned. And under that logic, Jason, Trump's original DOJ, when he was president, was the one that initiated the investigation against Eric Adams. I don't know what you keep hearing. It's political because Albania doesn't extradite people to other countries if they believe your prosecution is political.
Is that what it is?
Well, all roads lead to one guy and one guy alone, who I believe is Carone is indicted for all these things. Yeah, who is he working for? He's certainly, I understand some people are going to have their hands in a cookie jar, but clearly, who do they work for? Their one common denominator is one guy they all work for, who had so many things going on at the same time. And yet he's hanging out at Mar-a-Lago and kissing the president's ass and his kids, who God knows what they're up to. And yet all his friends are going down like dominoes. Inspector Kevin Taylor, that Sergeant St. Fort got that migrant shelter contract the second he retired, which is insane. He got indicted. Taylor got indicted, but Taylor is like a small spoke in the wheel. So you're going for the littlest ants. And what are you getting out of it? How far up are you going? Are you willing to go? Now, Carone's a big fish, but we've known about Frank Carone forever. And the hotel he's involved in, there's rumors about that hotel. There was a lot of things going on there with migrant shelters because guess what? They would see certain individuals who also had their homes raided prior. They used to show up, and they used to use the hotels apparently.
Which hotel is this? The Roosevelt that they're talking about?
No, this hotel is the hotel involved in this bribery probe here. The two owners, they're both Asians.
They love the hotels.
The hotels were being used, but they're being used for more than just migrant shelters. They would come in and, they had people with them. I don't know if they gave them free rooms or whatever the other allegation, but that's a separate thing from eyeballs I had on the ground. The feds knew everything. I don't know what they're waiting on. Unless it's just Trump, don't hurt my friend, But then here's the other problem I'm having with Jason. We know this, that the Trump shadow, he overshadows everything, right? Because you're right. He could pardon anyone at any time. The minute you scream political, he jumps on it. That seems to be the MO. So that things could end up the same way they did the first time, because all roads would lead back to the same guy in the middle. It's a snake case. You play it safe, right, Jason? This is why many, and I'm talking about many people that have a say in the New York City and the NYPD are really scratching their heads with all this stuff that's going on with these raids, because it doesn't make sense to go through the feds, who are clearly controlled by someone who, for whatever reason, whether it's for monetary reasons or he just likes the guy, is buddies with Eric Adams. And these are all his friends. This has been The Corona indictment, this stuff has been worked on for a couple of years. Yeah, it started with Biden, apparently, maybe. I don't know, with Biden as president. But then again, Eric Adams' indictment started under Trump's presidency the first time. I see it as career prosecutors doing their job. They see it as a political witch hunt, which is a spin because the big fish on the pole right now, the one they're looking for in the water, is Eric Adams. And we all know that if he can't get pardoned, he could always run Albania. It's political, and they'll say we can't extradite anyone on the we believe is on the political
Well,
asylum, and
and I
it's
also wonder
crazy.
if you couldn't just hire an attorney in Albania to say it's political, and now you have the opportunity, you're tied up in court saying it's political, we can't extradite you until that
Correct.
gets aired out or whatever.
That's it's just what I'm giving you all the angles here. I can't tell you for sure which one it is, but this is what's being discussed at the highest levels of city management, we'll say. And as far as Mamdani goes, as this went down, you heard the mayor, I give confidence. And here's what happened. And this is, again, I got sources everywhere. The mayor and the soccer mom quarterbacked this whole thing. She knew from the beginning how this was going to go down. But the mayor got wind of this at, the day prior. And his administration's answer was calling, the NYPD, saying, what the hell is this? You guys have to understand, he doesn't know anything about the police department. He doesn't really care because his management style is, whether you like him or not, you're in charge of the agency. You do what you have to do, and just let me know if there's something really important that I need to know about. Whether it's what parades, celebrations, they have the ceremonies, a major incident. That's when you notify him. Other than that, he doesn't want to know what you do on a day-to-day. So investigations, he's not going to know anything. But he found out about this, and they asked him, right? Did you know? And you heard what he said. He had no knowledge of this stuff. They're not going to tell him anything, and he has nothing to do with whatever soccer mom is doing. This is her city to run as far as NYPD goes. Whether she knows what the hell she's doing or not, I don't know. But this was her baby as far as the NYPD stuff. The Corona stuff, and this, again, this hotel was at the center of a lot of different things. And I had a lot of people that were on the ground with this, and they said they saw certain people that they already went to, that you've heard about in these raids, and that were in and out of this hotel, and they would bring people in and out of there. And the allegation is that they were just giving them rooms because this was a hotel that the city had the contract with, so they could just bring their friends. Here you go, here's a room. Unlike you
Well,
going to
but see,
Walcott
this
and they
is,
say you have no chance to get a room,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Here
no,
he's
no, this is
handing
what I'm
out
saying. There
rooms.
seems to be some kind of big deal going on with, there's some loophole here where hotels are getting millions of dollars from the city, or the city is getting millions of dollars in federal funding that's going to these hotels. And then somehow people are keeping it. I mean, look at how delighted all these guys appear to be hanging out with each other at the hotel bribery scheme. And I mean, we've seen so many hotels involved in these shenanigans. What the hell is going on here,
I know
Sal?
this was a leftover from a few years back that they were working on. Things got slowed down. Why? Because you had a new president, and he kind of got in the middle of things. He's put his little cronies in the middle of things, and now that kind of subsided, these guys are finishing up their loose ends and finally indicting people. But ultimately, again, I think you have the Trump factor here. And trust me, Corona himself has been to Mar-a-Lago.
Hmm.
So, I don't know. Somebody check Eric Trump's phone if he's talking to anyone, because that guy seems to be the one that it gets in the middle.
Okay, but so Corona is only one of the guys involved in this. McCarthy, who's the guy who resigned? You've
Well,
got this
the Corona,
amazing photograph here.
so the Corona indictment is separate from what you saw with the raids. The raids that were done in NYPD personnel, that is from the soccer mom and internal affairs. McCarthy is part of that. The problem with this is that McCarthy's phone was taken 2 years ago alongside Eddie Caban and everyone else that had their homes raided. So, And I understand Ed Caban right now, through my sources, a little nervous because you finally heard the word pay for play and bribery. I don't know why he would be nervous, but maybe something he knows that we don't. But that's what I understand. Now, McCarthy, this guy goes back
But wait,
to
stay
the
on Caban for a
Blackburn.
second. Why is he nervous? I thought you said they dropped the investigation into
Well,
Caban.
well, they might. This is what I don't understand. If you are dropping the past one or not doing anything with that, but now you've all of a sudden be reinvigorated, right now, and you keep hearing about bribery and pay for play, then that could be either they pass this off to someone else or they're presenting new evidence or something to say, here, we have this and we need you guys to go do this. Because that's essentially what's going on with the NYPD. They're saying there's another. So they're saying Madry's in another investigation too. There's three. He's in three of them. Obviously, you know about the first one, right? Then you have the whole thing that happened at One Police Plaza with Epps and everything there. And then you have this. There's three of them. They don't want to say what the second one is. But if you go on what you hear from mainstream media, from what I have
Okay, so but
understood,
to remind people, Madry is the chief of department
former chief of department.
who is former chief of department, embroiled in a scandal whereby I forget her name. Epps, what's her first name?
Quatish Epps, yes, lieutenant.
She was apparently compelled to take overtime, and it's my belief, I think you share this belief, that they did that to sort of lock her into a scandal, and they thought that would shield them from her revealing that there was basically sexual harassment. They were trying to coerce her to do sexual stuff, and then they paid her a ton of overtime to make it look like she's involved in their scandal.
They were trying to make her out to be the only rotten apple. She's horrible. She's bad. And I put out the Paul Saraceno files. They had interviewed Paul Saraceno, which was, again, under the soccer mom's demands of internal affairs at the time, which was Miguel Iglesias was in charge. And he admits in a show with Corey Pegues, basically this thing was like, here you go, do something. You have 2 weeks. There's nothing to work with. First of all, she did work her hours. She didn't steal anything. She was authorized to work with whatever the hell Chief Madry was telling her to do. Then the overtime slips that you kept hearing about, these slips that you heard in the tapes over and over again, were supplemental slips, because the original slips, from what I have from my sources, were at a timekeeper who you hear mentioned. There's a separate timekeeper that was working in the 45th precinct, not at One Police Plaza where they belong with the chief of department as an accommodation. And they had these slips, and someone ordered those slips to go on Jeffrey Madry's desk where they were never seen again. And then they had to redo the slips, which is supplemental, which again is on the employers. It's in the contract. It's labor law, FLSA law. They had to redo these slips, and it wasn't just for Epps. They have overtime, and timekeeping was done for Madry's security team, for Kaz Dawdry's security team, for another deputy commissioner. It was 20 or 30 people, but they only chose Epps. So you heard about. Yet there was, and this is the deflection from all of that, is to now we're suddenly there's bribery involved. We knew about this 2 years ago. You're 2 years too late, soccer mom. And on top of it, you have an overtime, another scandal. You have not fixed anything. The overtime code thing has been going on since Madry. And the one person who's directly down the hallway with him on that 13th floor was the first deputy commissioner, Tanya Kinsella. Again, you're hearing about overtime codes. So who's the common denominator? By the way, Tanya Kinsella lied to city council about overtime as well. She didn't know what the hell she was talking about 2 years ago. She's still there, Jason. Same problems.
Well, let me hold you there, Sal, because we got to make our way over to the sponsor exclusive segment. People are going to be able to join us on thesalgreco.substack.com. It's also important for people to follow you, Sal, on X. You got reporting on all of this stuff every day. Sal is breaking the internet, going viral. definitely check him out over there at the Sal Greco. And of course, everybody who is sponsoring Crowdsource the Truth on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth is going to be able to join us there. Don't forget to follow me at JG_CSTT. We'll be right back. This is so much scandalous stuff happening at the NYPD.
It's so much.
It's almost
I know.
unbelievable. We'll be right back. Stay with us,
SalGreco.com
everybody.
for more.